Anybody want to help me out on what our description of volume is? Oh, please, somebody say, work with me here. Grace, how much space something takes up, then we measure that in how much space measured in, somebody? You're trying to tell somebody how big my room is. In order to heat the air. Brooke? Oh, cubes. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's got to be measured in cubes. Could be centimeters, could be millimeters, could be miles, could be yards, could be whatever. But remember that, and it's all relative to how big your cube is that you're measuring. You know, a cubic centimeter is not going to be very big, something like that. A centimeter cubed. A cubic inch gets a little bigger. Those of you who are car people, which are few and far between, cars used to be measured in cubic inches. Now it's in liters, actually, which is a few thousand cubic centimeters. A cubic foot would be 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot, or something like this. 1 foot cubed. You could probably imagine what a cubic mile would look like. Just to put it in perspective here, you'd have to drive from Route 47 all the way down to that next road there, which is a manual road. Right? That's a mile. Then you have to drive all the way down that road till it comes to Walker Road, which is a mile. And then Walker Road back to Route 47 back. That would just be the base. And then you'd have to go a mile up in the sky, which is a long. 1 cubic mile would be rather large. Okay? Now, you must label it as cubic units simply because of this. Okay? If we were talking about, let's say this thing, let's draw it kind of close. If this is 6 inches by 2 inches by 4 inches, 2 inches by 6 inches. This is going to get dicey here. My little thing doesn't look right by 4 inches. You could sit and try to count all the blocks of that thing. Or you could do what? Our little formula for volume and volumes of prisms, of rectangular prisms or boxes. So you know what our formula is? It's a pretty simple one. Maggie's going to guess?
Base times length times height.
Well, it's close. You can't say base. We're just going to go length times width times height. We'll get to the base stuff a little bit later. Length times width times height. So you just have to multiply the 3 dimensions together. It's pretty simple. 6 times 2 times 4. Now why does that work? Okay. Well, let's look at just the top layer of blocks. How many blocks would make up this very top layer? Well, if I were to count them, I would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Where does 12 come from? Because it is 2 wide this way by 6 that way. So each layer has 12 blocks, right? And how many layers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4. 6 times 2 gives you the 12, and then it's 4 deep, which would give you what we have here. 9 equals 6 times 2 times 4. 12 times 4 is. And here's the kicker. You must label this. We're talking about inches. Remember the last lesson we talked about labels? I'm multiplying inches times inches times inches. So my label is, Alex?
48 inches.
Inches cubed. 3 inches times themselves gives you inches cubed. But really, it's pretty simple, you just have to know that the volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. Whatever the three dimensions are, you just have to multiply together. So if you had a box that looked like this, and this thing was, I don't know, 5 inches by 7 inches by 1 inch, what would be the volume of this shape? 5 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What would be the volume of that thing if it was 5 by 7 by 1? I know it's difficult. Let me see. Right now, the formula volume equals length times width times height. And does it matter which one you call the length? Not necessarily, but which one would be the length? Which of these dimensions is the width, which one's the length, which one's the height? Usually speaking. Brooke, which one's the height? 1, because it's 1 tall. That's usually our height. Which one's our width, which one's our length? Brooke? 7 is the, 7's usually the length. We usually go the longer side, length, longer side, width, narrower side. So you would get volume equals 7 times 5 times 1. So the volume equals 35 inches cubed. Does that sound like a winner? Do I need to go any farther? You want to go farther?
Yes.